Welcome to the Oroville City Council meeting of November 15th, 2022, where we are reconvening from closed session where direction was given and no action was taken. Will you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved.
Second.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Okay, moving on to public communication. This is time to hear from the public on non-agenda items. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Mr. Mayor, I have 2 speakers. Our first speaker is Annie Terry.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I just wanted to let you know about the upcoming Thanksgiving events that the Rescue Mission hosts. On Monday, we're going to be giving away 225 Thanksgiving food boxes, including a turkey. Those are for people that are pre-registered, and it's going to be held this year at the Southside Community Center. We do, basically, people drive up and we load up their turkey and all of their fixins into their car. We have 194 people signed up, and then we're giving out an extra like 31 or whatever that number comes out to boxes in addition to that for late comers. Also on Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, the 23rd from 11 to 3 at our warehouse at 4248 Lincoln Boulevard, the proposed site for Mission Esperanza. We're going to be serving our Thanksgiving dinner. Again, that's from 11 to 3. If any of you, either in the city council or in the community, would like to come and volunteer, feel free to come. We're asking for volunteers to be there by 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a really fun event. We're doing both to-go boxes and sit-down dinners this year and letting people make the choice themselves. So it's always a good, fun event, and we usually serve a little over 1,000 people a year. So if you can come and help with that, we would love to have you. We really enjoy hosting this dinner and just being part of the community, and it's always a blessing to do so. If any of you in the audience and not on the dais would like one of my flyers, I have some of those by the back door if you'd like to pick one up on your way out to remind you. Thank you guys so much, and still got a minute left. Thank you.
Our last speaker for non-agenda items is Bill Spear.
City Council, it's Thanksgiving coming up, and just want to be thankful. And I'd like to thank the city for the help on the Veterans Day Parade. It was a success on behalf of the Exchange Club. We also like to thank the Chamber and for the helicopter coming in, and everyone working together made it a really awesome event. Downtown was pretty packed. Also, for looking forward to the Feather Fiesta Day Parade, which is a bigger parade. We were kind of low on barricades. We weren't low, we had just enough, but when we get to the bigger parade, if possible, we could order some more barricades to be able to facilitate the bigger parade. And I'd just like to give thanks and bless you all. Thank you, God, Father God, that the elections are over. Thank you for everybody who put themselves through the heated grueling election, and we pray for our city, and we pray for our county, for our nation, that we would come together. And we know that the enemy wants to divide and conquer, and we just pray for, Lord, all the families and all the people that ran, that made it and didn't make it. We thank you for our city and for the Veterans Day Parade and all the veterans, as we continue to honor those who laid down their lives and stood in the gap. We ask for wisdom and guidance as we move forward, as we see the holidays coming up, and we thank you for the rescue mission and for their food giveaway, and we pray the provision, as we know the recession and things are getting more scarce, that you would put a pocket of grace and mercy upon our city, upon the homeless, the less fortunate, upon the people in the jail, in our jail. It's in Oroville, and we pray for your love and your light, kindness to a season of giving would come in, and that we would look for opportunities to make a difference. If we can't find somebody nice, be somebody nice. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Mayor, that is the last of the public speakers on non-agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Like item 4 pulled.
Looking for a motion to
And,
adopt the consent
Number
calendar.
we've had number 3 also requested.
And 2.
2, 3, and 4 pooled. Looking for a motion.
I move that we adopt the consent calendar exempt 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
Motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Councilmember Pittman, you pulled item number 4, the consent calendar. Do you wish to comment, sir?
Yes, I have to.
Since we, Mr.
Councilmember Smith.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think there's a lot of just great stuff on this consent calendar. I would have loved to pull more items just to talk about it and have some public presentation, but this is a great project moving forward. We're looking forward to this. It's really going to enhance our community and make things look more uniform, curbs and gutters in the long run. And so I think we all should be just really excited about seeing some of the stuff getting, moving forward. That's it.
Okay, who pulled item number 3? Was that you, Councilmember Hadley?
I did.
You wish to comment
Mr.
on
Hatley,
that,
if we
sir?
could, Mr. Mayor, if we could we take a vote on that one? That way Mr. Pittman can return.
And I
Oh,
need to
okay.
recuse myself on this one.
Well,
Okay.
Which item, Mr. Smith?
Okay, well, wait a minute. We're losing control here. So we're on item number 4, right?
We are
Okay, so
on
we
the
need to
eight-
take care of that while Councilmember Pittman's out of the room.
Yes,
Yeah.
got to vote.
I move that we adopt item number 4.
I second that.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 recused.
Now you're leaving.
What are you recusing yourself?
Number 3.
Okay,
And we're going to work backwards. So.
all right.
So if you're in agreement, you need a motion to approve number 3.
Well, Councilmember Hatley pulled item 3 and he'd like to speak on it.
Okay.
No, I have no comment. I just wanted to pull.
Looking for a motion to adopt item number 3 on the consent calendar.
So moved?
A second?
Motion carries with 5 yeses, 1 no, and 1 recused.
Okay, Councilmember Smith, was it you that pulled item number 2?
It was. I just wanted to, before we vote on this, I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion, I would think. But again, just to highlight, every young person that went through California's educational system, we read and learned about ISHE. At least I did growing up in the Bay Area. And I just want to just highlight the fact that the Oroville Botanical Garden Educational Center and the Native Sons of the Golden West have taken on to beautify that area where it's allegedly where he was, found, and to take that piece of property and remove some of the invasive species and to enhance it, beautify it. And whenever you drive by that area coming off of Oak and you see it sitting there kind of left unkempt, and just thinking of all the history and the fact that every school child learned about ISHE growing up in the California educational system, I just want to just really take off my hat and say thank you for taking a prized piece of Oroville and our history and making it special. And I just think that needed to have a little extra emphasis. That's it.
Thank you. I am a native son of the Golden West. Okay, well, if there are no further comments, if there are no comments from the public on this item, Vice Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, sir. What is the distance, because I'm not too far away from that landmark.
It's right at Oak.
I know, but how far do you have to be in order to not, probably a good idea that recruit myself. That's what, we're all recusing. I want to recuse
Well,
myself.
I'm on the Native Sons of the Golden West. Do I need to recuse myself?
Yeah, I don't think so. This is not a financial
No,
item
it's not
in
financial.
any way, shape, or form, so you would not have to.
Recusing, so I-
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, again, this has no
Because there's good
financial
snacks back there.
impact whatsoever. Having said that, if you want to recuse yourself, you can. I'm not telling you you shouldn't. I'm just saying,
Great. Having legal counsel, I will remain seated.
And this is actually city right-of-way. It's not a park, but we felt the Adopt a Park application was the best mechanism to allow these groups to move forward with beautification of the area.
Okay. We don't have any comments from the
Yes,
public.
a quick
Councilmember Pittman.
Thank you. A quick comment about it. That memorial, if you want to call it that, was actually created when that area was in the county, and then the city annexed the area, so we invariably adopted it because it's now part of the city. So I'm very appreciative of any agency trying to take care of it, because it's kind of outside the scope of the city parks, but it's great to see that this service club step up and take care of it. It's a great idea. I also will note that the water company provider provides water free for the landscaping. So there's a lot of little things that have been done with that project. Thank you.
Any further comments? Having none, looking for a motion to adopt item number 2.
So
from the
moved.
consent calendar.
Second?
Okay, moving on to regular business.
Motion carries. Sorry.
Item number 10, Recology of Butte-Colusa County Franchise Agreement Amendment and Service Rate Increase for the collection and disposal of solid waste, recyclables, and organics as required by SB 1383.
Good evening, Mayor Reynolds and council members. As titled, this is a request to consider approving an update to the current franchise agreement with Recology of Butte-Colusa County to include the recent CalRecycle mandates for AB 341, 1826, and SB 1383. That also includes a service rate increase of 12% to accommodate the purchase of a new hauler truck and a driver, also containers, and the increase of expanded weekly organics collection services as required by SB 1383. For some background on this agreement, in 1993, the city entered into a franchise agreement with Recology of Butte-Colusa County for the collection and disposal of solid waste and recyclables and materials generated by the businesses and residential properties within Oroville. This has also been subsequently amended many times over the years, and also particularly due to state mandates that has caused those amendments. The passing of these Assembly bills and Senate bills require that CalRecycle develop regulations to reduce organics in our landfills. SB 1383 requires regulations place requirements on multiple entities, including the city, residential, commercial, and many other entities, to support the achievements of their statewide organics disposal reduction targets. In December 7th of 2021, the council did adopt Ordinance 1861 that implemented the requirements of the Assembly Bill and Senate Bill as required by the regulations for CalRecycle. Recology is working to enhance their operations to meet the demands of these CalRecycle mandates, but the franchise agreement updates include the ordering of that new truck, bins, and other items to comply with those regulations. Recology has not been able to meet the deadline of January 1, 2022 because of many factors, including lead times, product shortages, and budget constraints. Through Senate Bill 619, CalRecycle is allowing jurisdictions to pass a Notice of Intent to Comply, or NOIC as they call it, and to avoid any violations of these regulations. On January 18, 2022, City Council did adopt that NOIC, and later CalRecycle approved our Notice of Intent to Comply. That brings me to the current item on Recology's request to update the existing franchise agreement and extend it for a period of 15 years to 2037. Attached is the proposed update to the franchise agreement that incorporates the mandates of CalRecycle, in addition to Exhibit B that specifically relates to SB 1383 requirements. Additionally requested is the rate increase of 12%, again, for the purchase of the truck, the driver, the bins, and the weekly route increase for that green compostable bin. The city and Recology are seeking grant funding currently for reimbursement of the purchase of that new truck to hopefully offset the rate increase in the near future. CalRecycle is working on grant funding, and they're currently putting together the regulations and funding proposal for that. Should an agreement be approved, the change will take place on January 1, 2023 of this next year for commercial and residential customers. Within your packet, you will see the attached detail of the rate increase. We can get to that. Additionally, pursuant to Section 18.2 of this franchise agreement, the annual index adjustment or the service cost component shall not exceed 4% for the first 2 years of the agreement, meaning that should inflation continue to increase the consumer price index for water, sewer, and trash collection, that annual index adjustment shall not exceed 4% until 2026. With that said, staff is recommending approval of the resolution number 9108, executing an amendment to the franchise agreement with Recology of Butte-Colusa County for 15 years and increasing the residential and commercial rates to 12% to meet the CalRecycle mandates of SB 1383. With that, we have representatives from Recology here with us. We have the new general manager, Marcy, to introduce herself as well, and our recycling coordinator, if you have any questions.
And Mr. Mayor and Councilmember, I need to just correct one thing. This is because of the amount of terms and language that changed in the agreement, this is not an amendment to the agreement, this is a new agreement. So small legal detail, but it is an important one. There is a revised resolution on this matter that should be at the dais. Did you? Yeah. There's a revised resolution. The only change to the resolution is instead of calling it an amendment to the agreement, it's a new agreement.
And a new agreement number.
Yep.
Do we have any questions from the public on this item?
Mr. Mayor, we have one speaker, Marcy Walton.
Thank you.
Figured you wanted to get up here and talk trash, Amy.
You don't know me at all, do you?
I told her that I had to steal it today. So good afternoon. I'm Mr. Mayor and member of the councils. My name is Marcy Walton, and I'm the new general manager for Butte-Colusa. This is Amy Jernigan, as you all know, the community relations manager, and then Dave Adler is also with us, our regional manager. With that, first off, I would like to thank the city staff, and we agree with the staff recommendations. I would like to thank Jennifer Arbuckle, as she's been a pleasure to work with the recycling and yard waste improvements that we've done. We are here for any questions, and we look forward to continuing our relationship with the city of Oroville.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome. Do we have any questions from this dais? Councilmember Smith?
Thank you. The 12%, that's going to execute, that's going to be staged, or is that going to be
Incrementally.
incrementally?
It will go into effect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then there will be a cap.
Depending on inflation and all the factors. Okay, so 12, we will see a 12%. But when will we see the additional collection process with the green waste can where it's picked up weekly? January, so you're able to meet that. Oh, very good. So with that, I think it's important to know that we're all going to get more collections. So we're paying a little bit more, but you're increasing 2 more times a month on top of that.
For the yard waste?
For the green waste can.
Right, and those services will actually start once the truck is received. We won't start those January 1st of '23.
Oh, so there'll be some, okay.
There'll be a small delay in the truck and the containers.
But I mean, I think it's important the public know that there's a 12% increase, but with that increase, we're also going to get additional service with that.
Sure.
So that helps take the edge off a little bit.
Right, it'll be weekly yard waste service, and it will remain bi-weekly recycling service.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Riggs?
Thank you. I just know that the public will be concerned to hear about a 12% increase, so I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that we did do our due diligence to look at other service providers to do a our cost analysis, and Recology remained the lowest competitor. So we did do a lot of background work to make sure that we could minimize costs to our constituents. However, of course, some cost increases are unavoidable. And thank you guys for being such valuable community partners.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to add to that just to remind the public that this is not a choice by this council or by Recology. We were forced into this by the government of this state. So it's becoming more and more involved in what we do. So if you have complaints about any of this, please direct them to your governor. Councilmember Pittman.
Yeah, thank you. And I certainly appreciate Recology in this process. They've been a good community partner. The one comment I just want to make, which always I raise the issue, is the state is telling us certain things. One of them is we had to hire another position, which I find as a state unfunded mandate. But the way they got around it is they said it's not a state unfunded mandate. You can charge additionally for that position. So that's what we're doing. So just to let everybody know, it truly, in my definition, it's an unfunded mandate that we have to charge more people because they tell us we have to have the position. And that's just the way the process is going. I just want the public to be aware of that. Thank you, though. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'm looking.
One more comment.
Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, and I just also want to thank Recology as being a great partner in our community. They do so many things to support a lot of the events and parades and just provide that service free of charge for our community. So I just want everyone to know that Recology has been a great partner over the years, and so I want to just say thank you and continue to look forward to that great partnership moving forward. And then, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but maybe Dawn introduce two of our new, or at least Damon, our new staff person that's handling this?
Certainly. If I can have Damon stand up. He is our new recycling coordinator, and he has been working with Jennifer Arbuckle, our consulting recycling coordinator, and she's been teaching him the ropes, basically. So they've gone out and done site visits at several locations, lid flips, and you name it. So he's acclimating well. Mm-hmm.
Schedule. The city of Oroville is in complete compliance. You guys are doing we're doing. We're not going to be, targeting this in any way. So I know that everything's copacetic. We're teaching you there, but we've got a lot of work to do.
And you might think, I recognize Damon. That's because you do. He was on our planning department for many, many years. So now he's planning commission,
yes.
Pardon me. Yes. But again, so thank you. And he moved away for some time, and he's back.
Yeah, I moved away for 3 years.
All right, great. Glad to have you.
All right, well, welcome back.
I wanted just to point out, Marcy, too, the residential organics, we'll be able to start food scraps from business starting in January. The residential, so we will start collecting some stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say something about Recology too, because a lot of people don't realize all the things that they do and that they're involved in. They've actually invited me, and I went with them to re-landscape schoolyards and that, and we had a blast. The turnout was absolutely amazing. 60, 70 people, Amy, something like that? 110. I'm sorry, I knew if I said too many, I was going to be in trouble, so I had to shortcut it. But yeah, it was an amazing experience, and thank you for all that you do. I'm looking for a motion to adopt resolution number 9108.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Moving on to item number 11, request for council direction to procure drawings for St. Park fence.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Let's give the Recology a second to leave, please. I don't want you interrupted, sir. I want to absorb every word. Thank you, Mr. LeGrand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The item in front of the council tonight is regarding the fence around the lot home that has come before the council one time, and it was, I believe, the high end of this project was around $500,000. That was concerning to the council, and the council asked for some additional information regarding that project. We went back to one of the people that we solicited that responded to our solicitation for bids, and the individual is willing to provide drawings as requested by the council. However, there's a cost to that. It's somewhere between $4,900 and $6,200 for those drawings. I think on a project of this magnitude and to this scope and scale, considering the changes that have occurred as it's worked its way through the Parks Commission, Planning Commission, and the council, that it probably would be wise for us to have our own set of drawings, send those out with a new solicitation for an RFP on this, and then have somebody bid that. That way we know exactly what we're getting. If I ask you to just use your imagination. I mean, there's 7 of you sitting up here that's going to have 7 distinct ideas about what that is. Then you're going to have a Parks Commission that has 5 people with 5 different distinct ideas, and a Planning Commission with 5 distinct different ideas. And then the worst part of all is we're going to have somebody that fabricates the fence that is completely different from everybody else. Then everybody else is going to go, my God, we just spent $500,000, and that is not what we wanted. So we have to, I believe my recommendation to the council is going to be authorize the drawing, locate a local provider of that to include with this and to pack it, and then to resolicit bids on exactly what we want for this project. This is an important project for our community, I believe. The presentation of the lot home as it exists makes it, quite honestly, on Montgomery Street, a non-factor, and it's non-interesting. You drive by and you see some old telephone poles and some chicken wire in front of an old house, and you wonder, what is that? That's what the fence is right now when you look at it, and there's some chain link on the other side. If we put a really ornate cast or wrought iron fence or whatever it would be called around that with a plaque on the front and everything, now you drive by and it makes you wonder, what is that? What is that house about? It will stimulate public interest, I believe. It will truly protect an asset of our city. It will beautify aesthetically the neighborhood. Not that there's a whole lot of problems with the neighborhood, but it just changes the feel of what that facility is. So I think this is an important project. I think this is something that is worthy of that kind of financial investment. Now, I know everybody's wondering, why in the world does a fence cost $500,000? Do anything for the government, and it costs, considerably more than what it would for you. We have to pay prevailing wage for everything that we do. There is nothing cheap about anything that we're allowed to do. So this is a very expensive project. One of the things, additionally, council, that I would suggest is that we talk about how we're going to fund this project. This project right now has, I believe, $178,000 allocated to it from a grant, which we know is about a little bit below half of what we would need from the current bid for that project to complete it. I'm going to suggest that we look back at our RDA bond residual money and we reallocate a couple $100,000 to $300,000 of that. That money is specific for specific purposes. It's not general fund dollars. It is something that can be used for blight removal, and it can also be used in that particular area because that's the original RDA. So I would suggest that you look at that and direct staff to bring you a spending plan for that so that when it comes back, it doesn't impact your general fund. It's a one-time expenditure. Quite honestly, I think that the fence at the time that was put in served its purpose, and it was, you know, probably nice when it was put in, but now it doesn't meet what that facility deserves. I mean, so to me, it is blight based upon the fact that it's taking away from the structure. Because
They probably had chickens.
They may have. I mean, you know, and that would be an interesting piece of the story that we all would learn if we were interested in. I mean, if something caught our attention and said, why do we want to go there? I mean, so that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to create this pathway down through there with our Table Mountain Walkway wall, our entrance to our downtown, and then working on the other side, you know, with the Highway 70, Montgomery Street. I can't remember what the project is, but it's through Caltrans where we're doing the additional they're putting the silhouettes and different things. They're cleaning up those on-ramps and off-ramps. So we're trying to create a flow into our downtown area, and I think this just facilitates that. I mean, this continues the feel of Montgomery Street and enhances that area. So I think that would be an important thing to do. So what we're looking for tonight is direction from you. Our recommendation is that you direct us to get the drawings, send those out. We're going to do down and dirty set of drawings that are we're not going to wait for a technical set of plans because whenever we do that, we wait 18, 24, 36 months, and then we get a set of plans. Time is of the essence on this project because there are time deadlines at grants where dollars have to be expended. So if we can get a drawing and then we can add in the spacing between the bars and things like that, you know, we can send that out and re-advertise it is what we're suggesting. And then also directing us to come to you with a spending plan allocating grant fund dollars along with RDA bond residual dollars to pay the balance.
Do we have any questions from the public on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any speakers on this item.
Councilmember Riggs?
I first want to share that I have never paid more attention to fencing than I have the past few weeks. I feel like every black fence that I pass, I look at in a lot of detail, and I'm excited that we're moving forward with creating a good fence around the lot home. From what you're saying, are you sharing that we would have our own set of plans, or that B&M builders would do their pictures? Because it's agendized as them, approving them to go and do their images, but
Right.
instead we want to do our own, right?
I'm suggesting that we do our own and put it back out for bid.
All right, I like that.
And then allow, you know, because that may even interest people locally, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to go against B&M or anything like that. I'm just saying there may be people here in our local community that are able to bid on this now because they have a better idea and they're more comfortable bidding a project, that they have a better, clearer understanding of what exactly it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that from the other bids that we've received, or the proposals that we received, they're vastly different, which shows that there was a bit of ambiguity in our request for proposal. Thank you.
Councilmember Pittman?
Yeah, thank you. I like the idea of getting the drawings first. We probably should have done that first before we went out to bid. It also, I was a little hesitant on spending this amount of money, but at the same time, my thought pattern is if it's our drawing, our fence, it could possibly be used at other parks in the future. Because we have many parks, and we just set that as a City of Oroville standard fence for, you know, Rotary Park, Hewitt Park, all of them, so that we have kind of a City of Oroville standard fence to be out there. So I do see the value in that, and I certainly would recommend this idea. I think it's a good idea.
And that is a very good point, Mr. Pittman, because I believe that how this fence would be installed is in a panel system so that if it is damaged, those panels can be taken out, a new panel can be put in, we can keep those panels, and if we do it in multiple parks, it doesn't matter where the damage is at, the panel will slip in, so we don't have damaged property.
That's the thought pattern. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for putting this forward. You know, I really struggled with the idea that we had two, proposals, and they were vastly different. And so I think this just brings symmetry to the project, and it really just gives us, I think, a higher degree of confidence in knowing what we're actually getting, which was, I think, the question that we had from the beginning. So no, I think this is great, brilliant. Thank you.
Anyone else? Having no one, I really appreciate starting over and doing it right, because that was a headache with all them different opinions of, and because we need something effective as well as aesthetically pleasing. So this is one of our most valuable historic monuments, if you will, and it deserves the attention that we're giving it now. So thank you. Councilmember Goodson.
I just want to thank you for your innovation. That was really some out-of-the-box thinking, because you know that the council was divided. That was a high price tag. But I will say, as you were describing the project and the lot home, the thought that came to me is it truly is a pearl of great price. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LeGrone. With that, we're looking to,
I think I have a motion.
It's just
do you have a motion?
Yeah, I started jotting
You know
down
what?
based on what he was trying to say.
Councilmember Riggs, we'd appreciate a motion.
Thanks. All right, so I motion and direct staff to develop or require detailed drawings to demonstrate our desires for the lot home fencing and put the project out for bid when those drawings are prepared.
Second.
Motion carries with 7 yeses and 0 nos.
Okay, with that, we move on to reports, discussions, and correspondence. Do we have any announcements from the council? Councilmember Riggs.
Thank you. Two things I wanted to share. One of my council committees is the League of California Cities, and I just wanted to share that their new mayors and new council member training is scheduled for January 18th through 20th in Sacramento. That was something I participated in and really learned a lot from, and so Jackie is great at coordinating that. I'd encourage any newly electeds to consider that. The second thing is from the Downtown Oroville Business Association. That's one of my other council committee assignments. They have the Christmas preview happening this Saturday, Small Business Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and the tree lighting on December 2nd. So all of those are really great opportunities to celebrate the holiday season with our community and also support our local businesses who really uplift and drive our community forward. So I encourage everyone to attend those. All of that information can be found on the Downtown Oroville website. Thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
Parade of Lights, December 10th.
Councilmember Pittman.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention we had a meeting last night up at the Southside Community Center, and it was from the Richmond Group, who has a project proposal for first phase is 61 family apartments, and the second phase would be another 62 and over senior apartments. And that's on Lincoln Boulevard, just south of Wyandotte. It's a large vacant lot. They have a great plan. They interacted with the community and took a lot of good suggestions. And it was a very encouraging, I think it was the first project in Oroville. And the Richmond Group is a very large group. They're very interested in Oroville, and it was happy to see their discussion and frank discussion with so many community members that showed up. I know Councilman Hotley was there, and I believe Janet was there also. And it was a good discussion for a project. What was the groundbreaking time? What month? I forgot.
Approximately, it's spring, April of 2023. The project completion, they're looking at 20 months out and 6 months prior to the completion. Applications will be readily available, and the eligibility will be, they're going to go through a lottery system.
Thank you.
Can I please comment on that also?
Yeah, oh, yeah, please.
That project, those two projects are both the projects that we received funding for the disaster multifamily housing program. It was over $18 million, and we're working through the approval process with the state. It's a very long process. We're trying to obtain the notice to proceed for the phase one, and we finally just got a re-review on the phase two senior project last week. We also tonight in the consent calendar, we are applying for PLHA funding for additional funding because the construction costs and the interest rates have increased drastically. So we're hoping that we'll get that to help that project get going too. But it will be in the future. I already got a call for an application today, and it will be probably at least 6 to a year out before we will be accepting applications. And we won't be, they will be.
I think I would add too, the Richmond Group complimented the city staff on assistance. They've not seen a project come together so quickly, so your compliments from that group and were said and displayed at the meeting last night.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on it as well. Thank you, Amy, because we've actually been working on this for a few years now, and really appreciate all of your hard work and efforts with staff. With that, this will probably be the last project of its type in the city for a while because we need to balance out with medium to upper medium income housing. We have met our RENA numbers for the state. We're becoming inundated with low-income apartments. So we need to start focusing on balancing out. So anyway, appreciate all your hard work, Amy. Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out on the 5th at Feather Falls Casino, there was a special event. It's held annually. I guess this is the 12th or 13th. I can't remember which, but South Oroville African American Historical Society. And they had a presentation there where Dr. Rivers spoke. And there's several individuals. Steve the Barber is on that board, Bill Conley, a supervisor, and others. And I really appreciated the opportunity to attend that, in part because it gave me context. You know, this past summer, the Southside Community Center was gifted to the Southside organization. And that helped me have context with that. It was a $4.2 million gift. And it helped give me context to understand the plight, the African-American community, the history of the South Side, and just also the tremendous diligence and contribution that that was given to, I think, the betterment, improvement of Oroville. It just gave me context of the history. It'd be wonderful, and I think Dr. Rivers has spoke here in the past, but I think that just understanding the historical context gives us a greater appreciation of why sometimes things are done. We do things and then not fully being able to appreciate why those things are done. And I think it would have been great, looking back now, hindsight, that some historical context was given to the community. And I am certainly not the expert in being able to really unpack that. I'm just kind of expressing, after going and experiencing and listening to Dr. Rivers and just a very eloquent gentleman, just providing that. I think it would be good for us when we have major things like that come along, to where we give greater opportunity for that context and appreciation. So it's kind of a statement and also kind of a request, both. Moving forward. But anyway, I did appreciate the opportunity to attend it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm going to comment on it as well. I was there. I attended as well. And it was actually to honor the Barney and Catherine Gabriel family, actually Barney and Catherine, who started with nothing, I mean literally less than nothing, and became very, very successful. They were responsible for not only our cab company, but they owned several other businesses like the Town Tavern, Scruggs and Meter Bar. But a lot of people don't realize that Barney Gabriel was responsible for starting the Butte County Transit System as well. Very, very entrepreneurial couple. She was educated at Chico State, and he had the vision, she had the business mind, and they just made an excellent team. And our family has been friends with the Gabriels for generations, and absolute wonderful people. I remember my dad all my life talking about Barney starting out with his first cab and things. And he said a lot of times it was only 5 cents or 10 cents for a ride, but they were very successful and just icons in this community. So I would like to congratulate the Gabriel family once again. Is there anyone else? Having no one, future agenda items? Councilmember Pittman?
Yeah, I've had a number of calls about the, whatever the plan is on painting the streets with the darkness around lately and so dark. I've had a number of people call and say, I can't really see the street line or the center line of the roadway, and I don't know if we have a plan to do it. I know we have to contract that out, so be interesting to hear what the plan is and if we have that work being planned.
I can answer that.
Thank
We
you.
currently have a mutual aid agreement with Butte County because the city does not have equipment to do long runs for our streets. We do short repairs and have a walk-behind striping machine. A new striping truck would be upwards of $350,000, $450,000. We've priced it out in the past, and it just doesn't make sense for our community. So we have a mutual aid agreement with Butte County that's been in place since 2013. And this year, the county, with the lack of availability of paint for the road striping, the county has not been able to address our roadways or Paradise or Gridley and Biggs. They've had a difficult time acquiring the paint. I did have a conversation with their Public Works Operations Director today, and because we were asking about the green line striping, that it needs to be refreshed through town as well. And he had mentioned that we want to get back into this program this next spring when the weather clears up, and we'll get the striping refreshed through town.
Thank you. Good information.
I'm sorry, I'm going to mention too, that we kind of skipped over the Veterans Day Parade, what a success that was, and absolutely amazing. And not only the Exchange Club, a lot of hard work, but Chamber of Commerce, Eric Smith, thank you so much. And I'd like to also mention Gonzalo Pee Wee Curiel. This man dedicates his life to helping this community, and a lot of people don't realize that he's the one responsible for these helicopters and planes and that flying over, and it's his connections that do this. And him and Eric work well together as a team to put things together.
Could I just add one more thing to that?
Yes,
So
sir.
Jones Flying Service, who owns the helicopter, and so Jen Jones was the pilot. I thought that was pretty cool. It was a lady pilot, which is pretty awesome, I think, for the girls, to kind of encourage them for just career-minded, and they can do anything, right? And also just the contribution of flying that helicopter over here. It burns 90 gallons of fuel an hour. And we know how much fuel costs. So again, Jones Flying Service made quite the contribution to Oroville just because, he loves our community. And so just thank you to them as well.
And I will say, because they are good friends with Mr. Curiel.
Did I?
Yeah, absolutely, at the behest of him. So I don't want to short that at all. So very, very expensive to play with these pieces of equipment, and for them to come all the way over here, it really says a lot. Councilmember Pittman,
Oh, I'm off. I'm not needed.
Vice Mayor Thompson.
Thank you. Very briefly, I would like to put on the agenda, if I could have somebody else agree. In the day that we live in, it's such a digital world. You call someplace, you try to get a hold of something, and it's literally impossible. Yet machines everywhere that are automated. I would love for our city hall to go back to where you call in and you actually get a hello, as opposed to calling in and push this button for that, and then now push this button for that, and possibly get into that. So I'd be fully in favor of hiring a front desk person that all they do is kindly answer the call.
I second that.
Maybe they could do
believe
some more
Councilmember
things
Hatley
too.
had suffered that pain a while back.
So,
Who are you
so
gonna
I would
call?
like us
My
to
same
have,
problem.
I would like to call City Hall and get a hello.
Get a hello. I second that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so is that a future agenda item?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Hatley.
Yes, I would, thank you. I'd like to see a future agenda item. Councilman Pittman and I attended a little meeting where a security company was looking at some security for the downtown businesses. And I know downtown businesses have been asking for some security and get extra patrol, and we just don't have the police officers to do that. And I had a conversation with Chief Legrone, and so this is not a surprise to him, he knows I'm gonna mention this, that, if there was some way to do it. Private security is fine for certain things, but where we're running into a problem is with the new law that was passed now that a sworn police officer, if they make contact with a citizen and restrict their movement in any way, they have to fill out several pages of things that ask all kinds of questions about what their perception when they approached that person was. I'm telling you from experience, a police officer doesn't walk up and wonder what gender you are, what your sexual orientation is. They don't care. They're thinking about what they're there for and they're watching your movements. But this form, now they have to start trying to care and fill this form out. Well, private security doesn't have to do that, so that's a plus on their side. But in talking with the chief, I believe he has an idea as far as maybe MLEs that aren't under that, correct me if I'm wrong, that they're not under that restriction, where if they do contact somebody and restrict their movement a little bit, they don't have to take and fill out this 4 or 5 page form. So to me, if we could do, and he can address this as the funding and that for more MLEs that could actually maybe move people along and satisfy the downtown business people and the downtown community in the residential area, because they're tired of coming in and having to try to move people out of their business doorways and other restrictions that they're running into. So, what we discussed.
Yes, sir, I'll return to the council at the next meeting with a plan.
Could we add parks to that discussion?
Pardon me?
We talked about the downtown, but could you add parks?
Yeah,
in
no,
that as
I'm
well?
going to return with a plan that encompasses the entire city.
Great.
Not just one specific area or anything, because I did hear what the folks in the downtown district were talking about, the concern that they have and the importance, to them. So, but this is something I think that affects all of our city, that, we can do something, I don't want to use the term fairly, I think it's fair, it's just we can do it equitably everywhere.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I've got to run pick up my son.
Okay, administration reports. Amy, Ms. Bergstrom.
I have none, thank you. I am Amy.
Mr. Lando.
Two separate things. One is that I am researching the security patrol as was requested. I will tell you that both Chico and Reading use private security basically for park patrol and Reading Airport patrol. In Chico for the pallet shelter. That's the main use for that. Red Bluff and Yuba City do not use any private security. The other issue, which I might ask actually Scott to provide a information sheet to council, is the legislature passed SB 1439, which basically says if any of you got campaign contributions, I have no idea what they are, but if they're $250 or more, there's some severe restrictions on what you can and can't participate in. And that's effective January 1, so.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. We every year our firm does an update on municipal laws that affect municipal agencies. that have passed that will come into play on January 1. That's one of them that's on our list. We'll get that out to you. But the long and the short of it is, if you received any donations, $250 or more, you may not vote on any item where that individual who donated the money or the company that donated the money has an interest in that item for the next 12 months after you receive the donation. It used to be only applicable to special districts, boards, joint power authorities. It was not applicable to city councils, supervisors, or I'll use the term, up the food chain, so to speak. They have now changed that so that it is applicable to city council members. And so,
So I have a question. Is that just for monetary contributions or for such as leasing of a building or renting of a building?
it includes anything that you would put on a Form 700, which includes in-kind contributions. If you are leasing a building at an arm's length transaction, which means you're paying fair market value, that does not count. If you are leasing a building for anything less than fair market value, the difference between fair market value and the amount you're paying is your in-kind contribution that would have to be disclosed. And again, it's $250 per year, so that's in that situation, would be a fairly low threshold.
Very low, yes.
So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to work, to analyze each case individually. The one thing that you can do, there is a way out of that scenario. If someone donates something to you, you can either return the donation or you can donate the donation to a nonprofit, and it has to be done within 30 days. But there is again an exit strategy if you need one or if you want one. But otherwise, you'd need to be looking back at your contributions and determine when did it come in, and looking at every agenda and making a determination of, is there some interest on here that I will require a recusal on. I do have one agency that I do work for that literally item number 1 on the agenda is sort of an amalgamation of every financial interest on the agenda. So if this agenda were it, for example, item number 1 would have the contract for tree pruning services, and then it would have it would list who the principals are, and then it would also list where is it, Mark Thomas and Company, and who the principals are, and it would go through each item. Item number 1 would have a list of all of them so you could just quickly determine, do I have any conflicts of interest? Is it a corporation? Is it an owner of a corporation that donated? Because again, that's connected as well.
Right.
That may be something that we can do if that would ease your ability to make a determination. I recognize that my comment just put a lot of work on someone else now to do that.
The staff making the staff reports.
30 days from when?
It's 30 days from when you receive the donation.
Oh.
So if you receive the donation today, you decide you don't want to keep it, you would have 30 days from the date of receipt to
donate
that. Now that does not go into effect until January 1. It is an open question as to whether it's retroactive. I believe it is.
I do too.
And I think that's the safest way to go. Yeah, I think it's retroactive. I do. I think that was their intent. Well, I think it's retroactive. So if someone gave you a donation 11 months ago, or let me back up because we're in November, 10 months ago, if that entity or individual has an item on the January agenda, I would suggest you recuse yourself. That's why I say once it comes into play, then you have to look backwards 12 months.
Safe as a baby.
It's not, I think the intent was not to wipe the slate clean, to say, okay, starting in January, now you only look at donations that come in from January going forward. I think they're wanting you to look back for the last 12 months.
Are we still on Mr. Lando?
Yeah,
Okay, because you're really eating up.
SB.
He kicked it over to me, and you know, attorneys, we
I thought I
Holy
effectively passed
cow.
it over to the city attorney, so I'll
Paid
defer
by
any
the
other
word.
comments to the city attorney.
Okay, Mr. Huber.
Well, I wanted to tell you about some legislation that just, no, I'm just kidding. I have nothing more.
Okay, Ms. Nevers.
The city staff has been working diligently with the Downtown Business Association to get all of the holiday decorations up in time for all of the events. I've coordinated with Sierra Pacific Industries again this year to have a Christmas tree donated. This year, I'm told it will be a 30-foot tree as opposed to last year's 24-foot tree, and we are also working with Mr. Weber and Mr. Spear to help put that tree in place and get it decorated in time for the festivities. And you'll see in the monthly report in the agenda packet, all the departments are still very active. Building permit applications remain high at 95 received in October. So even though the economy is starting to see a decline, our community is still seeing a rise. So.
Ms. Duncan.
I wanted to let you know that a couple things. So the council approved the payoff of our solar loan, and I said I'd have it done the next week. They didn't let me. They said that I can't pay it off until next March. So I'll update you. I think I put that in my departmental report at the end of the agenda. So, but I was also asked how much money that was going to save us, and it was over $600,000 by paying it off early. So that was great. 2 weeks ago, I attended a CalPERS conference, so I intend to do a staff report. I haven't had chance to do it yet, but good news, bad news. But yeah, when they do good on their investments, then everything looked great. We paid off our liability, and we even had a surplus for a very short amount of time. And now that they had losses at 6/30/22, we have another liability, and it looks like it's about 11 million. So I had hoped to be able to pay it off every year. We had our PARS account of 3 million. I hope to use that to keep it paid off every year. And now it looks like because of their losses, we are already in the hole 11 million, but who knows what they're going to do this year. But it's just, it's so hard to, people want to act like this is like a mortgage. It's not like a mortgage because it changes every year and it fluctuates based on their investment. So we don't know really what we're going to owe next year or the year after, but we just have to keep a very strategic plan of attack on it and just stay up to date and informed. So I'm really hoping to do a whole staff report and let you know all about that. I'll let you know there was a vacancy in finance, and well, now I'm going to have 2. So I had somebody tender their retirement plans. So in January, we'll have another vacancy. So with the recruitment that we have going now, we're going to actually try to pull 2 out of that. Mm-hmm. Also, so we've been working very hard on the new software for payroll, and that's supposed to go live January 1st. And as of Monday, yesterday, we have picked a test group of about 20 employees that have started live punching. So we have quite a few bugs just trying to do that. So hopefully we can get them all worked out and we'll be live by January 1st.
Councilman Smith, did you have something to say?
Just a question to Ruth with that report on the 11 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not special because other municipalities and
Right.
school districts and everyone,
across the
and
board.
we're pretty healthy, and I can't imagine some of
Yeah.
the more precarious. First of all, is there a website where that's reported out, statewide? And do you think this might trigger at some point the state stepping in? Just an opinion.
No and no. We always asked
should.
about the state stepping in, even when we owed 25 million, and the state was like, no, it's up to your boards and your supervisors and all of you to figure it out. So we've not ever had any hope of the state bailing us out of this one. But there is not on the website. What I'm giving you the $11 million off is that they have a new tool, and you can go in and kind of look at forecasting. You put your information in, but it was so cool to see that we were overfunded for 1 year, and then and then we went from being a little bit overfunded because of our pension obligation bonds to 11 million. It just blows your mind. It's
Kind of wonder if there's some other, like, small school districts and another,
yeah.
that may be becoming insolvent.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
they're going to ramp up. Yeah, that 11 million, they're not going to tell you have to pay it. They're going to give you a little, they ramp it up 5 years. So they start you out slow and low. And then in 5 years, you're actually paying the amortization on that for 20 years. So they do things to not hit you hard in the beginning. But if they had another year of gains in the next year, that might just go away. It's like we would never want to give them the whole 11 million and then have them have a gain and we would be super funded again. We never want to be super funded because we don't make any interest. When they have our money, they don't give us any interest. So we never want to be super funded with them.
Thank you.
Mr. Belser.
I'd just like to report on our housing navigator, Ian Clement. He went boots on the ground September 22nd. We've reached out to him 17 times. He's made contact with 50 individuals that were homeless or at risk of being homeless. 15 of the 50 individuals followed up with him. We're also able to get a family, it was a husband and wife and several children living in their vehicle into housing pretty quickly. And then we were able to get another individual that was having some serious medical issues off the street and into post-acute care. So it's, some progress. I have my code enforcement team reach out to him quite a bit. He's here 20 hours a week. Now that they have their doors open where individuals can go in and actually see what resources are available, it's been more effective. All 4 of the code enforcement vehicles are on the road. They're labeled and are in service and being used. We hired 2 new code enforcement technicians. One started on Monday. We have another one started in a couple weeks, and that'll fill us up in that area. And this week we're holding interviews for staff assistant for the code enforcement department, and hope to fill that position soon. And today, the code enforcement team underwent some training involving the recording of documents on nuisance properties, given proper notice to interested properties and given them a right to appeal. We've been recording a lot of documents against properties recently, individuals that aren't paying their fines for maintaining nuisance properties. This has been actually a real effective tool. Got some education through Colin Huber on how to do that as well. And we're in position now, one property that we've invested or had cleared, did a abatement warrant and cleared. We're in position to get $9,800 back from that project, and that includes the cleanup and the attorney fees. So that'll be coming soon.
Great.
Thank you. Chief LeGrand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to report to the council that we had a new dispatcher start today, yesterday. She began her training and we'll be working through that process. Our hiring is still slow, but we are working on that. We will be getting a graduate from the academy in the next couple weeks that will begin an FTO program with us. And then we have 3 other people that will be headed to the academy. Things at the police department have settled down. It's headed in a positive direction, I believe, at this time. A general feel from the department through a poll is that morale is good. And I think that's probably the first time in quite a while that you can get that result when you're polling your people about how things are. There's been a lot of training that's going on. This week we have 3 dispatchers that are tactical dispatcher training. We have done our True Narc training, which was the council authorized the purchase of some laser type devices to determine what narcotics or suspected narcotics are. Those devices did arrive in the training. The first round of training has occurred. The second will occur this week. We've had people go to homicide training, MUPS training, which is missing or unidentified persons training. and multiple other trainings. So things are headed in a positive direction. I believe that we have a positive plan to address the issues that concern the community that were expressed regarding the necessity of looking at a security company or something like that. So I think we have a positive plan to come forward to the council with a positive funding source so that we can deliver on what the community was asking for, because, you know, I think it is a healthy conversation to have, and, you know, I don't think that any idea is necessarily a bad idea. It may need to be reshaped or changed to deliver what the community needs, but, you know, it is wanted and needed conversation, so we are working on that.
Thank you. Hey, you know, I'd like to say I've been approached by several police officers saying how positive things are up at the PD, and I just want to commend you for that supervision and management, because that's what it needed. So really appreciate that. I hate to mention social media, but I saw an individual who was claiming credit for the Portland Lose, and I'm going to tell you, I remember exactly where the idea came from. It was from former council member Linda Draper when she went on vacation to Oregon. She's the one who brought that idea back to us. And so we're getting ready to install those, and really, really happy for that idea, because it will provide a much-needed service. With that, we will adjourn till December 6, 2022 at 4 p.m.